think the other challenge is players' fitness and players that are not really, from my perspective, respecting the game in terms of their own conditioning.
This is the first full season that the seniors have actually
Correct, yeah.
had. So how well do you think you guys have done this season?
It was a really good start to the season, really good first half of the season, but we didn't finish strong. We got to, I think, the top of the league for a week and around February, and then it kind of all went a bit downhill from there. But overall, I would say, it's a C+ for the year. Yeah, C+.
And do you think, because again, I'm guessing the reason why you guys are called seniors, because you guys are at an age, and of course at an experienced age in football, to actually get the job or certain jobs done within everyone's playing career. So why do you think you guys tailed off or didn't have for nows to kind of...
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think it's a combination of factors. We had a few key injuries, some major loss of form for 2 or 3 players. So it's something that was a surprise to me. Some of the sort of fittest and highest contributors, if you like, in terms of goals and influence in the game, kind of tailed off as well. I don't know if that was down to injuries or conditioning, but we had a few key players kind of drop their levels, if you like. Bit of pressure, going top, playing my main rivals were the West African boys, Cameroon, Lions and Asiru, and we came to the end of the season having to play Asiru twice and Cameroon once, and we lost all 3 of those games, right? Big pressure games and really hard games against very tough players. So a few players may have bottled it a little bit, but otherwise, yeah, just this, kind of tailing off a bit of, Arsenal-esque, should we say?
Cool. Well, fair enough. So let's kind of go all the way back to your playing career. Mm-hmm. In the B team, your name was ringing around the dressing room in terms of Luke is the player that literally got us going, and Luke will be very sorely missed because of everything that you did with the kind of B team.
Sure.
So why did you feel you had to move when you did?
So I joined the B team when they first started, and had a great season. Managers Player of the Year. We missed out on promotion, but played in every game. That I think I missed 3 games through injury or so, and travel. But really enjoyed that season. However, during that season, I also played for the national squad and the AFA squad, which are both 40+ teams, which are made up of players from all of the teams within Peckham Town at the time. So we, as you may know, we won the final of the nationals, and I think we went to the semis in the AFA, which is the London Over 40s Cup. So playing in those teams with Lloydie and Ben, and a lot of the first team players, obviously made an impression on them, and Lloydie asked me to join the A team for the subsequent season. So there was a lot of how do I call it, a bit of lobbying from some of their players, and talking about the playing at a higher level, playing with arguably better players and in the first division. So playing against a lot of ex-pros as well, with ex-pros and against ex-pros. So I saw it as an opportunity to play at a bit of a higher level. You don't turn down the offer of a promotion normally, and so it was a very hard decision still, because in that season with the B team, I feel like gelled with all the boys. I still consider them my boys, my teammates, and that's why I'm so proud of what they've achieved this year. But it wasn't me waving my hand and saying, I'm trying to escape from this team. I was, called up to the A team, and that's how it went down. I've always been transparent with Paul and Ray about that, and had some good conversations. Ray was, he said he's not going to stand in my way. Paul was a little bit more upset about it, but naturally, and I take that as a massive compliment, right? So, nobody was shooing me out of the door, but on the other hand, it wasn't me trying to jump ship. It was a call from Lloydie and Ben to join up with the A team, and I responded.
But don't you think there was unfinished business with the B team since you finished runners-up? Didn't you want to win something with the B team?
I mean, yeah, of course, but like I said, it was a very close decision. It was like a Brexit, 51-49, and the A team we came second in the first division, so that's quite an achievement that year, and I feel like as a footballer I developed playing with the first team, and yeah, it was a very tough decision. It was, but these are the decisions you have to make in life, in your work and career, and in sport as well. So if there were easy decisions and easy tasks, it wouldn't be worth doing.
What was the biggest takeaway that you got from being with the A team?
I feel that the quality of play, encouraged to move the ball quickly, you pass forwards and backwards, sideways, always give it to a man who's open. There's not too much dribbling and trying to beat a man. It's more about building up the play, playing in small triangles, really high quality football, especially in training. And in that season we had good attendance at Preseason and at most training sessions. So for me it was playing with footballers who wanted to play.
So in terms of your foray into management, is this the first time you've actually managed a team?
Yes, it did, yeah. And
how are you finding it compared to playing?
Well, it depends. When you've won, you're a hero and you're happy and everyone's enjoying, apart from maybe players that didn't play as much. But when you lose, it's all on you, and it's about your decisions, and the player who got taken off or the player who didn't play in his position, or they want to. That's the reason you lost, because you didn't play me. That's the reason you lost, is because I only got 20 minutes and not played from the start. So I'm a big enough guy to take that. I'd stand by my decisions. They're always based on what I think the best formation and starting 11 is to win the game. Some parts are difficult. I play in the engine room, as you know, centre midfield. So when you're in the battle there, it's hard to see who needs to come off, who's not running properly, who's carrying an injury. You've got sometimes 7 subs you've got to think about, and people saying, "No, put me on," and you're like, I'm just trying to win a 50-50 with a 6'2" Cameroonian, and you're telling me that you need to come on, and so that's been difficult. I think the other challenge is players' fitness and players that are not really, from my perspective, respecting the game in terms of their own conditioning. Great players, great footballers, great on maybe a 5-a-side pitch or a 7-a-side pitch, but on the 11-side pitch you're required to cover a bit of ground, and if you haven't got the conditioning, you'll be found out within 20-25 minutes. So that's been the most frustrating part.
So who would you say is your linchpin in your squad?
Linchpin. Our team captain, Tino, he's probably had one of the best careers in the whole club in terms of teams that he's played for. One of the best, not the best, but he's a great player. He's a number 10 or a centre mid. His conditioning needs some work, right? And when we started the season, he was on fire. He racked up the goals. He was scoring from anywhere. He did what he wanted on the pitch. Over Christmas, and work was interrupting his games as well, so his fitness dropped off, and he wasn't as influential as he was in the first half of the season. But if you play through Tino, you win the game. And anyone that's played with him on the sort of over 40s games or in that A team will tell you this guy can play football. He's a street footballer. Like he'll put a player on his backside with his, drop of the shoulder or a little feint. And one of the things that I need to get through to the players is that's how we play football. We play through our playmaker. We can play wing play as well, and wingers have got pace and can dribble down, but when we're building up the play, we go through the number 10.
So how do you communicate with your players on the pitch, the people who you trust, and I say trust in inverted commas, and of course trying to relay all of that information to the subs who are there waiting?
Yeah, it's again, I'm where I play centre midfield. Normally, it's defensive mid to be precise. Is where you're organising, right? You expect the keeper to organise his back four, one of the centre backs to organise the back line, and then the engine room, whoever's in that middle and that more defensive position, is kind of directing traffic in front of him, right? So communication on the pitch has never been a problem for me, and I think not having a sideline manager or a Paul Barrett or someone like that at the side, that's where there's a challenge in terms of if the team is struggling, where are we struggling? Right? I'm looking in the middle. Maybe it's not sticking up front. Maybe centre back's having a nightmare. Maybe the keeper's flapping at it. Those are things you can see, but sometimes there's some nuances and some like subtle things that someone standing at the side can see, but you can't see. So it's about really seeing if there's somebody on the side who's not playing who can be your eyes from the touchline. And a couple of times we've had Ben and Lloydie come through when they haven't had a game, and it just takes such a burden off me, and I can just go around winning the ball and distributing the ball and doing my job in the middle. But I would say it takes a little edge off my game, having to think about all of that stuff as well.
And talking about Ben and Lloyd, how have they helped you now you've kind of come into like the management circle?
Very, very helpful actually. A lot of feedback after the game. They'll often hear from other players, but ask, my opinion, how the game went, how certain players played, if there were any incidents, what actually happened, and really, encourage us to, stick to our principles of football and, stick at it when we're having maybe a sticky patch. Really encouraging to, fight through it, and it's your first season and blah blah blah. But I don't take losses very well and analyse everything. And if you ever see my write-ups, I'll do a whole write-up of the game, having played in it, but also, looking at our positives and our negatives where perhaps we didn't work hard enough, or we didn't work to instruction. So I can write for days. So I always analyse the game from that perspective. But it's helpful. Ben and Lloyd are always supportive, and whatever I want to do or whatever we're trying to do, they'll back it.
Which two from the B team and the A team would you take, and why?
Okay, B team. I would say Johnny. Anyone that's seen him play would know. He's a live wire. He always wants the ball. He can shoot off either foot. He's got lots of energy. Loves to win, competitor. And secondly, for me, it's between Darren and Andrew. Those guys, I've obviously did a season with them and know their runs and used to hit them all the time with the diagonals. So it would be a combo. Yeah. Darren and a hybrid of Darren and Andrew. Yeah.
Fair enough. And for the A team?
From the A team, Caleb. I think Caleb's like my favourite player in the whole club. He's a giant. You can't get him off the ball. You can see a pass. Great in the air. I've played against him in training, and it's a nightmare. He's one of the best players I've played with or against. And second player would be Jonesy. Just purely talented, unpredictable player. There's a goal he scored in semi-final. We played up against Peter Beagree's team where he beat about 7 players and did a sort of Johnny Barnes in the Maracana type goal, and it's one of the best goals I've ever seen. So yeah, Jonesy and Caleb all day. But obviously respect to all the other players because they're all great players as well. Yeah.
And just kind of, with the names that you just reeled off, there's like no defence. There's like no centre backs. There's like no defensive type players. I mean, are you like happy with your kind of defensive unit?
I've got Ade and Wes at centre back, and to me they're like Division 1 players. Obviously, Ollie and Dwayne are great centre backs as well, and Ray E, and I would take any of them in my team, to be honest with you. But in terms of my sort of centre mid partnership, central defence partnership, Ade and Wes are on their game when they both complete the 90 minutes, unplayable, unbeatable. Could do with a goalie, but that's another thing I'm gonna sort out this summer. But yeah,
actually, talking about what you're going to sort out. So how do you think you're going to recruit the players that literally want to play for the senior team?
So I think there's such a problem about recruitment for the outfield positions. It's more really maybe trimming the squad down to a manageable size. I was just on the phone to my club captain, my team captain, just an hour ago, and we were discussing, the size of the squad and making it a manageable number of players at the quality. Like there's a benchmark that we want to have going into the next season. I've got to find a goalie. I mean, that's my major problem at the moment. Most of my connects are over in East London and Essex, and I'm trying to convince a few of them to make the trek into South East London and Kent every Saturday, but that's difficult. But we've got a few leads that we're working on. However, considering last summer I think we started pre-season with about 4 or 5 players, right? So now we're starting pre-season with probably about 25. So I've probably got 4 or 5 players I haven't seen yet that are going to come down to pre-season as well. So the idea is to trim that squad down to, you've got to take into account the people who are maybe working on Saturdays and all that. So maybe 21, 22. I don't like disappointing players on a Saturday. I mean, people keep saying, you can't give out charity minutes and all that stuff, but I can't have a guy standing there on the side for 90 minutes. However, the guys that I bring on have to be at the same level as the players that they're replacing, right? So you can't really bring down the quality of your play because you've got to give charity out. And it sounds harsh, but that's why we're talking about getting everyone at a certain benchmark, certain level. We'll see that through pre-season. My idea, my kind of scratch idea at the moment is to have everyone trains through pre-season and we have a sort of trial match around early August, the existing 11 against those guys trying to make the squad, make the team, and the result doesn't matter in the game, but it's just to see how everyone's going to play and where we think we can make improvements on what we've got now. So,
and where do you think 2019-20? Where do you think you guys will finish next season?
So this is a difficult question. It's quite technical because if you look at last season, about I think 4 or 5 teams from Division 5 went up into Division 4, and Division 5 was a lot of new teams. So Cameroon, for example, were a brand new team. A lot of the kind of older teams in Division 5 were new teams as well. So it depends on what they do. I've heard there might be a Super Vets division. So there might be a Division 6 that's for predominantly over 45. So we might lose some players to that team potentially. So it depends on the makeup of the team of the division. I've got the mentality. It's quite simple. you put 11 players in front of me with different crests on their shirt, with different colour shirts, and we're going to beat them. Like, that's how I go into every game. Whoever's with me, wearing my colours, we're going to gel, we're going to work together as a team to beat that team in front of us. So you go in with the right attitude. We'll any division that we're in, we should win it. I see it that way, especially with the experience of last season, having a full squad to go into pre-season rather than I think me, Tino, Ade, and NJ, Ben. Yeah, that was probably it. 4 or 5 players from the club, from Peckham. So this should be a lot better. Not to say, I mean, we started last season really well, so we should start even better next season.
And my last question, what does grassroots football mean to you?
Grassroots football means everything to me. I'm not one of these decorated former pros, former semi-pros. I've just played amateur football my whole life, and I've loved every minute of it. I love the game. A lot of people will ask you, 42 years old, why are you still playing? I'll play till my knees give up, and I'll continue managing maybe a kids team or something like that. So I've got a vested interest in the game. It's a beautiful game. I mean, you go around your area on a Saturday or Sunday morning during winter. You can't go far without a football game going on. So it's a national game, and yeah, it's in my blood. It will always be there.